Good evening. My name is Eric Lindstrom. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the Inland Wetland Commission meeting for the town of Monroe. Today is May 8th, 2024, and the time is 7:11 p.m. Will everyone please stand to recite the pledge of allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll take a roll call of the commission and staff present during today's hybrid meeting. Please answer here or present, starting with myself, Eric Lindstrom here. Keith Romano.
Here.
Ryan Kelly, secretary.
Here.
Rick Smith.
Here.
Jim Stewart, who is a licensed land surveyor.
Here.
Benjamin Sabia. Who's not here.
He's not here.
Paul Fernandez.
Here.
Kathleen Gallagher, planning and zoning administrator.
Here.
Thomas Noonan, zoning enforcement officer.
Here.
And Sarah Stroud, recording secretary.
Here.
Okay. I'd like Mr. Romano to make a statement at this time.
I'm here. Collecting my thoughts about this first. I'm not leaving, but I don't have the mental and physical capacity to run as chairman anymore until I'm through my situation, which is both physical and medical at this time. I guess that's basically it. And like I said, if I become, I feel like I can't represent on this commission, I'll resign. And if I guess I feel like that's it. That's it.
Thank you. Before we start, I'd like to read our mission statement.
Hold on, I'm done.
Oh, sorry.
Also, I suppose there can be a vote to, I don't know what you'd say, temporarily or whatever to make Eric chairman or anybody else, I guess. I don't know how that rule kind of, how that works.
Let's just do a vote for you to be commissioner for tonight, and then let me look into it and figure out exactly how we want to handle. Let's have some conversations and whatnot moving forward.
Do you want to do that before we go any further?
Yes.
Was that your motion, Keith?
I like to make up, wait, what did I say?
Let's say a motion for Commissioner Lindstrom to be acting chairman for tonight's meeting.
I can make a motion for Commissioner Lindstrom to be acting chairman for tonight's meeting, pending further discussion of. I don't know, and is that all I have to say?
I think so.
We have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is that unanimous? Motion passed. Okay. Anything else, Commissioner Ryan? Okay.
Me?
Okay. The objective and purpose of the Inland Wetland Commission is to provide for the overall protection and preservation of the inland wetlands and water courses within the town of Monroe. The meeting procedure. Please note that this meeting is being conducted utilizing electronic equipment in compliance with State Law Public Act 21-1. As such, The meeting is being recorded and will be available to the public in compliance with state law. If you are attending remotely, please remember to mute your microphone unless speaking. Anyone participating remotely should state their name and title, if applicable, at the outset of each occasion that such person is speaking. All votes taken during which any member of the body are participating remotely shall be taken by roll call unless the vote is unanimous. The chat features will not be utilized nor considered during this meeting. In the normal course of our meetings, we will hear public hearings and other applications. The protocol for public hearings is to have an applicant make a presentation to the commission during which and after which the commission will be asking the applicant questions. I ask that the applicants keep their presentation as concise as possible. The commission will then review town, staff, and other independent comments. The meeting will then be open for public comment. I will ask that all comments be made to the chair or commission. After any and all comments pro and opposition or in general nature are made, the applicant will be given an opportunity to respond. Please keep comments or questions direct, or a time limit of 3 minutes may be imposed. It is not necessary that the applicant respond, but generally in the best interest to do so. There will be no further opportunity for new questions unless new material is entered in as evidence or testimony during their response. Please keep all comments pro and con specific to inland wetlands related matters. Other applications that do not involve public hearing will follow a similar format with the exception that there will be no public comments allowed. The meeting follows our published agenda unless otherwise amended. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Not at this time.
Okay. All right, so regulated activities. Actually, we want to ask, are there any general public participation? Anybody have any comments about anything that's not presented tonight in the general nature? Anyone online? Anyone in the gallery here? Come on up. State your name and address for the record.
John Nickowski, Allison Nickowski, 66 East Village Road. A few months ago, I'm sure you recall, we had a meeting about our driveway. And Mr. Rick Smith made some comments that we asked for an apology. We watched recording at one of the last meetings, which was probably about 2 months ago. We still haven't received anything yet. But I thought it was agreed upon the commission that we were going to get that letter. But it's been nothing.
Do we have any updates on where that apology letter is?
I don't believe staff was directed to write the apology,
They weren't.
correct? If I remember, I think the commission had talked about it. I think it was brought up that it would be something that maybe the joint commission would write. But I have to admit that off the top of my head, I don't recall exactly like whose court that was in, but that is something that I'm happy to revisit with this commission if we feel it's appropriate.
A lot of things popped up, that were, I think that were taken precedent only because they were so urgent that, it didn't become, I was gonna work on that to make sure that was gonna happen, but there was a couple other major things that were kind of like emergencies that had dragged my attention away from making sure that went through. That the letter was written, whether it was wholly the staff or it was by an individual.
So if we want to maybe add that to general discussions, decisions, others at the end of the meeting, that's something that we can discuss. And we can add anything to the agenda with 2/3 of a vote by the commission. That's not technically on there right now. So that's an option for the commission.
So do we need a motion to add that to the agenda?
On motion to add the discussion about the apology letter to the East Village Road location to the agenda tonight.
Second.
Second.
All right, let's, I guess we need to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All opposed?
Thanks for bringing it up.
Hold on, we have one.
And I'm so sorry, give me the exact address again.
66.
66.
We have one opposition.
Holly.
Anybody else in the gallery wants to address this commission? Okay. Moving on to regulated activities. IWC 2018 07 A2, file number 1145. 205 Monroe Turnpike request to modify permit to modify rear portion of development to accommodate self-storage building. The proposed modification will result in a net decrease to the area of alteration of the upland review area. 205 Monroe Turnpike LLC owner, Solely Engineering LLC representative.
I'd like to read the exhibits into the record. Exhibit number 1 is the application and plan set by Solely Engineering. Exhibit number 2 is the preliminary review by the acting wetland agent, which is myself. Document date 5/2/2024, and that is it.
Good evening, Commission. Again, for the record, my name is Michael Dana. I'm Solely Engineering, office located at 501 Main Street, Connecticut. We're here tonight to request a public hearing for the application before you. We have since modified the application from this previous application, which was denied without prejudice, to modify the wall location associated with the activity within the upland review area. We've since modified the plans to relocate the wall to its original approved location with additional plantings on the rear or toe of the wall against the wetlands to mitigate additional impacts that may have occurred at the bottom of the wall location. So with that, we would like to request a public hearing. Happy to hear any additional comments to kind of address at the next public hearing that is determined.
Can you just give us a quick snapshot of what it was before that we denied and where you're at now, just so we can have a.
Absolutely. So it's. Bear with me while it likes to zoom in. Doesn't like to either. So previously we come before the commission with the wall location, to move the wall approximately 2 feet off of the wetlands here, and curl that in further, as originally discussed at the last hearing. That was in response to an initial discussions with a potential user for the rear portion of the site, which required a lower access drive. Since those discussions have occurred and since our discussions have occurred, we have worked to kind of refine the emergency access drive, working with the fire marshal to both discuss kind of some concerns regarding how that access would occur. So we've worked with the fire marshal to kind of modify that, pull that a little bit closer to the building rather, in order to accommodate the wall in its original location and still be able to get a fire apparatus around the site. Additionally, the wall is extended to where it was previously approved. So rather than the previous application before you ended the wall approximately here, in order to move the wall further back and accommodate the grades, we did have to extend the wall additionally within what was previously approved. As you can see here, on this overlay exhibit that was also submitted as part of the application materials, you can see the previously approved 10,000 square foot medical office building, and then that previously approved retaining wall along the wetlands, which did ultimately extend along the entire southern property line in this area. And then you can see in the darker area is what is proposed as part of this application, so still on top of the previously approved location of the wall, we would still cut the wall shorter, again, because we're not supporting a parking level that would, a full parking field that was located at the finished floor elevation. With this building, we are able to kind of slope that south side of the building. So again, all of the work that is proposed as part of this application would be within the limits of the previously approved. Again, the main change being the wall location being placed in the previously approved location. Also, do want to provide an update to this commission. We have worked with staff in both the zoning office and the building department to solidify the building permits for the wall. We currently have a demo permit to remove the portion of the wall that was discussed at the last hearing that was closer to wetlands. We are at the stage of, we have now removed that. The town engineer will be coming out to the site and building official as well to look at the removal of the wall. That permit will then change into a construction permit to construct the wall as previously. So just want to provide an update as far as the permits that have been obtained as part of the application as well.
So real quick, just to summarize, the wall location will remain consistent with the original
The
application
original 10,000.
on the black overlay,
Correct.
other than the fact that now you're shortening it.
Correct.
Okay. And then the footprint of the building from the original application, which is the smaller 10,000 square foot, now becomes the larger.
Correct.
Okay.
In the, within that parking area, this whole parking area on the south side, like what was on the south side of the medical office building is no longer parking. And the change in use from a zoning perspective, we're able to provide the adequate parking in the front rather than on that south side.
And that southern section that was parking now is not paved material. It's going to be just.
So there will be reinforced turf pavers along the truck access. Other than that, this would be seeded, stabilized slope.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, so you mentioned previously approved probably 20 times. But the wall as it stands now, I understand you're taking it down?
So yes, so the wall was constructed as per the application that was denied.
Denied, right, okay.
Correct. So that we had, to recap, we had met with staff, kind of gotten preliminary feedback from staff, constructed the wall at risk. Based on the determination of this commission, we removed that wall to relocate the wall further back where it is previously.
It just seems as close as it was, or that seemed like the existing wall, the black.
No, so
And I'm happy to give a quick summary if that would be of assistance. Where they're showing the wall right now is what was previously approved by this commission. So he's using that terminology correctly. The wall that you denied is now not showing up on any of these plans. We're not comparing it to the wall that was denied without prejudice. We're only comparing it to what was approved before. They currently have a demo permit from building and planning and zoning staff. They are currently removing the wall this week. So if you see any activity going on right there, that is what is happening. The agreement was with staff that we had to, they had to flag the wetlands. They had to flag the limit of disturbance, and staff had to go out and approve the location of all of those items before they were able to remove the wall. I do have pictures shown for you, and this should be taken into consideration as you're looking at this, is they did slightly clip and disturb a small portion of the wetlands. What I think ended up happening is when they staked out their limit of disturbance, they put the silt fence from point A to point B where the limit of disturbance was. They didn't have the wetland properly staked at that time, and they accidentally clipped it. So when we had them reflag everything, we were able to see that they did clip a small portion of that. What we did is we made them put an additional silt fence, so not remove the silt fence that was there because we didn't want to touch anything and cause additional damage, but we made them put an additional silt fence that was in that area, and that's where it's at. So as part of this application, you have the ability to, obviously make them do some rehabilitation efforts for that particular portion of the wetland as well as other areas. But when they come in front of us for comparisons, they're truly just comparing it to what was approved to what they're proposing now. As it relates to the wall location as it exists in real life in the field, that is currently being removed and not really being part of this comparison, with the exception of you taking it in mind as it relates to remediation efforts for that area of disturbance and the small portion of the wetland that they disturbed.
It's this red triangle.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
That disturbance happened during the deconstruction of the wall, or?
I believe it happened during the construction of the wall. I think the wetland wasn't flagged properly. And so when they put in the silt fence, they put the silt fence from limit of disturbance point A to limit of disturbance point B. And what should have happened is it should have been staked B and C in order to make a curve. And instead they missed the curve and they just bisected it right through, and it wasn't caught until we made them reflag everything as part of our inspection to deconstruct them.
Any other questions?
You're asking for a public hearing?
Correct. So yeah, tonight we're just here to ask to set the public hearing. Again, any initial feedback is much appreciated, so we can prepare for this hearing.
The stormwater discharge is in the location that was originally proposed as well?
The stormwater discharge would ultimately discharge to the wetlands. The location on the south side of the wall has been slightly revised. So it was previously located right in the corner. It is now proposed more on this side here.
So I move that we take this.
Anybody else have any other questions before we?
Is there any remediation that needs to be done for the disturbance that took place?
So we have included additional wetlands plantings as part of our landscape plan and are happy to review that during the public hearing. In order to account for any of that impact that occurred.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
One more question. My concern is on the alternative plans. So I don't know if that's appropriate to, because I'd like some changes.
we're just determining
Right,
if it's,
Well, but if Commissioner Smith believes that they do not meet the definition of the two prudent and feasible alternatives, and you would like to see something else at the public hearing, I do think that would be appropriate for him to voice that concern at this time.
That is where I'm coming from.
okay.
So let me question you on the alternative plans. I see the proposed retail education and the proposed strip retail are now 85 feet off of the property line to the west, northwest. And 115, you have parking spaces on the other side of the, at 115, or 85 in the case of the proposed strip retail. So it went from 50 to 85, and for the education building, one of the ones went from 50 to 115 because you put parking spaces in there. I know that you need parking spaces, but I also see that you're infringing, and you say that, we're infringing on 750 square feet of direct wetland impact or 2030. That's the two alternative plans you're putting forward now. The one you put forward on March 6th had a different footprint for that self-storage facility of 20,483 square feet footprint, or 88 or 82, about 82,000. And I was told that didn't fit the business case, but I don't understand why a large facility like that, 82,000, wouldn't have a business case.
Yeah, and we can kind of review the economics and feasibility behind these alternatives as we go through the public hearing portion. I appreciate the feedback now. I appreciate it so we can better address these concerns during the hearing. I do also want to note that we feel that we came in with an application which was denied without prejudice, and this is an alternative that is more feasible and prudent than that application that came before you 2 months ago. So we also consider this is an alternative that is more feasible and prudent than the last application, which had, as we discussed, a wall closer to. So that is, again, something to just consider as part of this application when reviewing alternatives, that this application as it sits before you itself in some regards is considered an alternative to what was previously submitted. But again, as far as parking layout and impacts, as well as square footage of the overall building, we're happy to review that in more detail kind of at the public hearing.
Okay.
Both from what is required from a zoning perspective and how that leads to additional impervious and things like that nature as well.
Right. I could read the statute that talks about reasonable and prudent, and it talks about having less impact in the wetlands, as well as being a valid business case. So I don't know. I'm asking you to reconsider the 50-foot boundary or the 52-foot boundary you had previously and I know that's behind us, but, it was 52 and, then it's parking spaces. Perhaps we can reconfigure some of the way to get those, 20 or so parking spaces put somewhere else that did not have a direct impact, so that there wasn't a direct.
Listen, we're happy to look at it further.
Great.
Thank you.
Anybody else? We have a motion.
Move that we take this application to a public hearing for, as requested by the applicant and for the public's best interest.
Just to clarify, the public hearing would be June 2nd, so I just want to make sure that that's on the public.
We have a second.
Second motion.
And a second. All in favor? Aye.
Did I say June 12th? Is that what I said?
Second.
I mean the 12th. What's a factor of 10 among?
Thank you.
I'm sorry, who's the first?
Where's Kelly? A second.
Next, we have our regular meetings, IWC 2024-3, file number 1475, 77 Osborne Lane, a proposed application for installation standalone garage along with grading and stormwater improvements in the upland review area.
I have exhibits to be read into the record. Exhibit number 1, received date of 3/15/24 by the applicant Nicole and Jerry Sayas. The application and plan set. Exhibit number 2, received date of 3/19/24 by James DeMayo, the engineer comments. And that's it.
Please state your name and address for the record, please.
77. Jerry Sayas, 77 Osborne Lane.
To give us an overview of the project.
So basically, we're just looking to put up inside of our house, standalone, not attached to the house. The only issue is that it comes within the wetlands upland review, so that's why we're concerned. So that's why we're here.
Okay.
We complied with everything. We've done everything that had to do with all of the different departments. So now we're just here to see your opinion on.
The reason this was put in front of the commission is they're within 25 feet from the wetlands. I think they're actually 17 of the actual structure. So that is why it's being brought in front of the commission for review.
We have it done. Have it done?
Did you not get one?
No, I don't have to give it to you. I don't have to.
This was from, guys, yeah, this was from like 2 packets ago.
Oh, yes, I remember now. Yeah.
2 packets of.
Two packets.
This past packet, the packet before.
The whole residence is in the.
Yeah. And if you want me to see if I can quickly download it, I can put it up.
Other than it being, would you say 17 feet?
17.5 feet is the actual structure, so the
Right.
disturbance is probably even a little bit closer to it. And I do believe you provided pictures of the area. Is that?
Yes, and I have them on.
Oh, yeah, if you
Yeah,
want to,
please.
yeah, please, please.
Additional driveway there.
Right, because they need to.
Right. Anybody have any questions? Question? Commissioner Romano?
Yeah. Into Ross.
So I just tried to take pictures from every angle of the house. So this is just the back of the house standing on the deck looking to the back. And that's more to the side. So that's the right there. That's like the wetland area that you're looking at. And as we go around, so that's the front of the house, don't mind the fence that we didn't replace that, we're hoping to knock it down. So that's looking at it forward, that's just a little bit more to the side. Is that? Trying to get as many photos from as many directions as I could.
This, sorry. Is it prefab?
So yes, it will be, they're gonna prefab it and then they'll come in and they'll build in place.
What's the foundation?
The foundation, we went over with, it should be in the pack, oh no, I don't think it's in the package, but I may have it here. So the foundation, we already went through everything with, the building inspector. He said what we came up with, he would accept. You want to take a look at it?
Is it a traditional foundation?
Yeah, it is. I think so.
Let me see for a second. I was wondering if it was like Carl's place, not his traditional foundation. Slab on grade? That's slab on grade or is it? I'm sorry, I can't find it.
That's all right. I don't even know if you guys have it in this package, to be honest, because that was for the next step, so.
Oh. There's one more step, I mean,
After, yeah, so for the building department to approve.
I see that for a sec.
Absolutely.
Personal interest?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Really? They like this? The building department?
So far, he'll accept it as part of our application.
Really? Okay, cool.
Better than a storage container.
Is it?
Almost better than a storage container. Sorry, I just like it. I might use it. So you let me know if he accepts it. That's good.
Well, he said he'll accept it as part of our package, so.
Oh, we'll take it. Doesn't mean it's
We'll take it. It
approved.
doesn't mean it's approved,
Okay.
exactly, but I mean, I think we complied
Because
with
it-
everything that they were looking for.
Yeah, because it doesn't go down below the frost line. I think it's great, but hey, I don't know that it's gonna comply with the building code.
What will be stored in the garage?
Just his vehicles.
Vehicles?
Can you speak into the microphone?
Oh, his vehicles.
Now, just lost my map. I don't know. Oh, you took it. Okay, no, please. You got the little dry wells, I guess, around the building. Have those been designed?
She spoke and coordinated with town
Okay.
engineer DeMayo, for that, and they provided calculations as part of their application package to prove that they were,
Perfect.
in compliance with the stormwater regulations.
And the excess soil from the excavation, that's gonna be hauled off, or is that?
Yes.
We'll most likely be either using it or hauling it off.
Okay, but you're not gonna spread it on the lawn.
No. No, we're
So
not
when you
gonna do
say
it.
use it, can you clarify an example of what that would be?
Well, if we have to, because of our grade, if we would have to build up from the back a little bit, that would it be used for.
You're gonna grade within the silt fence? Is that the plan?
Yes. We have no intentions on disturbing the wetlands at all.
my question is if it's unsuitable, then it cracks. And then you have a problem down the line. And what's the remedy?
If what is unsuitable, the foundation?
I mean, the bearing ground. We were talking about just doing like what they do up north, where they expect it to freeze and stay frozen. Usually it doesn't have an effect. But you come down here and there's some examples that have worked, but they've always had footings down to grade, and this is more of a concern for you because you won't be able to in the future disperse that soil. Meaning, like, if you had a problem, serious problem with the underpinning of everything, you're not gonna be able to do what we're talking about is, bringing in, it's a different application to bring in, compactable soil, like structurally.
Well, I
Structurally
do believe,
sound soil.
no, I do believe it's gonna have footings. It's not just gonna be a simple pad.
It doesn't show on what we see,
Yeah, it's
It
not.
shows a 6-inch,
like slab.
I think
Well,
the
that's not really something that we're showing, we didn't know that we had to come to you guys with something that's final approval as far as that was concerned. We haven't really gotten to that part yet, so that's not really set in stone. That's just us kind of going to the building department and saying, hey, what do you think about this? What's your mindset on it, just to kind of wrap our heads around what
It's
we
all-
need to do. So that's just something that I brought here with me in my packet. That's not.
we appreciate it.
Yeah.
But our concern, and I share Keith's concern, is that it will freeze because it's standalone. And the 2-inch thickness of the monolithic section, not the outside. I see the outside, and that's great. And I see that you're doing rebar and all sorts of other stuff. and I'm not telling you that it's bad design. We're just concerned that over a couple of years, especially since it's wetlands and it's within 100 feet of the wetlands, there's some movement that happens. And, I remember a couple of weeks back, we had an earthquake, I know, seriously, we
Oh,
could,
yeah, I remember,
you
yeah.
could really split that thing and it'd be a real mess.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's gonna cost us a lot of money, so we
Right.
definitely don't wanna do anything that in 2 or 3 years is not going to be suitable, so we're definitely in
Yeah,
agreement with that.
I wouldn't worry about the foundation. The building inspector's not gonna let anything slide that's not gonna like.
Right, you know what,
I
and-
mean,
and-
I don't think that's for the Northeast personally.
I think the question for this commission, and it's part of the concern too, that if the building inspector says, okay, you can do something like this, but it requires you to excavate out X many feet to put in suitable compactable soil, what's gonna happen with that soil? Is that also one of your concerns?
Firstly, yeah, but then they're gonna it's a different application, isn't it? To dig out 4 foot footing versus,
Yeah, understood.
like the activity in the upland review area is going to change.
Yeah.
What I would say is that as long as it passes, we're basically gonna grant them the ability to excavate what's on that plan. And if it requires anything further, we're gonna have to come back for means and ways, I think. Having to haul off more material, potential tracking pad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where right now, if there was like, I think like what husband was saying, there was like a low area and they'll just kind of, not low, but I think it was under the slab, maybe it was uneven. Is that what you were saying, that the ground is gonna level itself out, kind of using?
Yeah, well, because it slopes towards the back. So if we have to build up from the back, that's all I was saying. And we have all intentions on following whatever the town whatever guidelines or whatever they say. We're taking, this is the first time that we've did anything like this, so we're not professionals. We're gonna let the professionals do it and make sure that we satisfy everything that the city or the town wants us to do.
Right, again, so if you did a cut and fill with bad material or not suitable or whatever, doesn't last through the winter, and then you have to redo this, without knowing, did you do any test holes?
Excuse me?
Did you do
Did you do any
any
test
holes?
holes?
Do any test holes?
The only thing we did was the soil scientist, which we had to do. I don't know, whatever holes he did
Right.
was suitable for that. And then, when the guy came out to make sure that.
My concern for you is that if it's not suitable soil to bear the load of the barn, okay, you're up to significant cost to redo this thing. If the soil doesn't hold up, you have a cost of dismantling, putting things to the side, then getting the right material in there. So as far as the disturbance and how far away it is from the wetlands, I feel like we don't have a real problem with that. The fact is if it doesn't work out in your favor, we could have a problem with what the remedy is gonna be. Understand?
So can we get suitable fill? To build.
Yeah, but that's in your application. We
Okay,
have to show that we're removing 100 yards of unsuitable fill, hauling it off, bringing in suitable fill, compacting it. And that, it's kind of like, I guess it's a risk, but then again, like these guys said, planning and zoning still has to look at it. So I guess we could grant the limited disturbance as drawn, right?
Well, the building really has to look at it. Planning and zoning is just looking at it from a zoning perspective. And it's really the zoning enforcement officer to see if it meets setbacks and things of that nature. We can have a discussion on, do we want to continue this hearing and have them go back to the building department and have them, and we can request for them to do a more initial review of the foundation. And then once they have a better idea of what that actually looks like, we can include that into the scope of work that this commission reviews.
If that makes sense. So we need to make a motion to continue this.
No, it makes
I'm
perfect
not
sense.
delusional with that, but
Honestly-
recently.
Honestly, I think what I'm interpreting Commissioner Romano saying, Chairman Romano saying is that, Commissioner, is that if we were to approve this just based on the limited disturbance, the distance, there may be a bigger issue. And if you go forward with it and you find that you have to, make modifications, the cost and the solution to that is dramatic. And perhaps if we approve it tonight, that's not even in your best interest. Maybe it's better to address that now, to figure that out now before the application moves forward. I think is that essentially your,
Well, what I'm saying is that we could basically, essentially, but it's really their own risk. It's all on their own risk. This could be fine underneath. We could say, we can cut, tonight during this hearing, we could, if we knew if this was a gravel area, right? We knew it was solid gravel, we could approve this, no problem. And feel good about it. Right now, I look at what the disturbance distance is. I don't see an issue at all. If you're coming to wetlands to say, how does this fit on our property? The amount of room we have around here to do this work. I'd say we approve it, but I'm worried that you not taking the more diligent course, you're gonna end up biting in the butt later on.
so just to be clear, so what is the diligent course that we need to take?
The first thing you could do is you could go out and do some soil testing to see that within that area. Now, scraping off the 8 inches, that's, how do you have that figured? Where's that material going? Say that if you were gonna do it to grade, slab on grade, you have, I don't remember, what is it, 8 inches over the whole area? That's gonna have to get disturbed and replaced, like displaced. So that first 8 inches has to be displaced somewhere, whether you set the grade at 4 inches higher or Yeah, and you spread some out on the sides or. So my brain's not working.
No, you're making sense. The question is, you put that slab on grade, you're displacing 8 inches, which is exactly what he just said. Where does that soil go? I think that's part of the conversation.
Fall off. But my question is more so I need to do test holes first
No,
before.
you don't. I wouldn't, I think this is a pretty simple project. Unless that ground is filled. You know what I mean? It's not virgin ground.
Saturated, covered in leaves, that type.
You're gonna put a regular, I expect you're gonna have a regular foundation because that doesn't go below the frost line. So it's gonna be 42 inches deep. You're gonna end up with extra soil that you're gonna have to truck away. And I would motion to approve it, but you should be sure that silt fence is put in right where it's shown. And any grading is within that limit of disturbance area, which is only like 5 feet off the foundation line. And with the history of this commission, people just go crazy and they take that stuff and they spread it all over. And then they end up having all sorts of trouble. So
No, that's.
That's not our intention at all to do
I'm not saying
anything.
you do it, but people who don't know, they just come in and a different contractor comes in and
People
then they
aren't doing
go,
it malicious.
yeah, no, it just ends up happening.
We've
So,
already gotten quotes where they said that they're gonna haul off whatever material they excavate, so
yeah,
that's not.
but the thing is when you build a foundation, you need that 42 inches of depth all the way around all the way around the building. And on the far low side of the garage, because I assume it's not perfectly flat now, it drops off towards the back of where that garage is. So you're gonna have to bring that grade up or build the foundation even deeper, is what I'm saying. So if you could do that grading in 4 or 5 feet, I don't think that's a problem. But that's your call, I guess. If you want to go back to the building.
So what we're saying is, we will approve it based on some of these conditions. But we'll give you an opportunity to maybe double check some of your calculations if you want to.
Yes, sure, for sure.
So if you'd like to continue this till the next meeting, then we'll wait and give you a chance to do some more homework. Or we could approve it now and you could.
I mean, if you could approve it and then we could still do our homework, because obviously we have to meet the.
You could come back and modify.
But then you'd have to come back before us with a modification. Say, we learned this and now we need to change it to something different than what you already approved. And that's okay too.
So
I
the
can't,
difference of what's on the plan, that's gonna be,
If it changes.
if
It
it,
changes.
but
If
why?
you do something other than what's here and what you presented to us, you need to come back to us and explain why you need to make a modification.
Okay. I didn't realize that anything that would change on the plan if we.
I don't foresee anything changing on what we're trying to do. I think this is pretty straightforward. You know, we are definitely following everything that you guys, the building, everything that we presented is what our intentions on doing. We're not trying to show you what we trying to do and then turn around and do something else.
No, Jerry,
I understand that.
we're not,
What we're saying is, if in your course of, getting your contractors in there and then they start digging and realizing this is not the type of soil we expected, we're gonna have to do something other than what we approved, you need to come back in front of us.
we're talking.
Absolutely.
Fair.
And if for some reason we get a contractor in there and he's like, hey, listen, this needs to change up, then we stop what we're doing and then we bring it back to you guys and we figure out what's going to be the best thing. We're not going to turn around. The last thing I want to do is risk a substantial loss financially trying to build something and then say, hey, listen, this may work, it may not work, and then I have all my vehicles in there and the foundation cracks or something, because then I'm going to ultimately lose everything. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that, I understand that we live in the Northeast and our weather is hot, cold, wet, freezing. So everything that we're showing you is what our intentions are doing. If anything changes, then we stop what we're doing and we bring it back to you guys and figure out what would be the best course. I'm not trying to build something and have it fail and then come back and say, you know what, this didn't work. That's not going to happen. I can guarantee that.
Yeah, well, Jerry, we weren't implying you guys are gonna change the plan. Um, like, like the footprint or the limited disturbance. It's just whether or not you can provide, and I wish I had the plan in front of me. It's more about you being able to do the work and construct it in whatever way. Look, you could dig down 3.5 feet and pour solid concrete frost lines. You ain't gonna have any problem. But if that requires the limited disturbance to change because now you got pump trucks and all this extra activity, that's the only thing that really not matters to us. You have to work within the limited disturbance. You follow me?
Yes, I do. I do follow you. And,
So that's really the comment. Is there, if we approve the limited disturbance tonight and the building where it's located, those two things have to be complied with during the construction. We don't care what it looks like, because that's plant, right? Because that's building. Planning and zoning checks that it's in the right location. And, right?
Yeah.
So it's, I think, we are in the right direction. The only option we're throwing to you really is whether you want to spend a little more time on tracking that information down or doing some test holes. So you know what you're up against. You can get the approval tonight and then you can start looking at the real logistics of the project and realize, oh crap, we gotta go back.
without the approval, we're kind of at a standstill because then we don't have anybody to come in really, we have to have people come in and really take a look at it. But without the approval, we need the approval first because without the approval, we're not moving forward. We're still trying to get the approval. And I understand what you're saying. As soon as the silk fences go up, nothing is to go, nothing is going to be behind it. The last thing that we're going to do is try to disturb the wetlands. Now, if something changes in that, in that process, and somebody say, hey, listen, let's just say that everything goes belly up, you need to, do something extreme, then we have to come back and we stop everything. We're not just going to say, hey, listen, we're going to do it anyway. The last thing we want to do is have any issues with the town. We love the town. We live in the town. This is just something that I personally want to do and I need. And the last thing I want to do is have to, have any type of issues. No issues.
It's up to you if you want, right, to close the application.
So we're gonna leave it up to you and your husband to decide if you want to close it and we'll deliberate and make our decision tonight.
Yeah, I would appreciate it. Yeah. And and I understand what you guys are saying because like I said, the last thing I want to do is have a structure go up and then something fail. So that's not what our intentions are. Our intentions are to follow everything to the T. We're going to cross our T, dot our I's. We're doing our homework, but we need the approval to continue what we need to do. This is not something that we plan on getting approval tonight. And then we got trucks and cement trucks at the house. This is taking our time, our baby steps, because this is the first time that we've done this. So, I understand what you're saying, but also understand that we're not just shooting at the hip. Anything that's going to be done has to be done right. It's a one shot, one kill deal. Because like I said, when I put my vehicles in there, the last thing I want is something to be compromised. Because it's going to fall on me. It's going to fall on my shoulders.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's.
Hold on. I think he's got a question
A
too.
couple of quick questions about the property. First off, did you buy the home or did you build it yourselves?
No, we bought the home.
Okay, so I was gonna ask you a question, because where do they take the soil from the residents, and did they dig up there previously? Or, okay, that's not relevant because you don't know, I guess.
No.
So I see a pipe down the eastern side of the driveway near the property line, and it leads into the wetlands. The wetlands, does it go towards the O'Rourke's and the Kaplans in the back? When it starts to get lower, you notice that it's still wet in the back? I mean, where is it concentrated?
It goes to the back, and to my knowledge, there's some sort of river flow back there. Maybe towards the end of my property. And I believe that's where all the water goes.
Yeah, I see it, could hook up with the Nelson Brook. I'm just, look, we share your concerns. We want you to build a good facility, a good, but when we see things like 2,000 pounds per square foot, for minimum, bearing capacity, you can exceed that kind of easily if you, have a truck up on jacks. So, we're just concerned about cracking and longevity of your investment.
Same.
And we appreciate, I appreciate what you're trying to do, and I guess we'll proceed to, somebody want to make a motion to, accept or to move forward with this?
You guys are comfortable tonight with us making the decision, right?
Knowing that any changes gotta come right.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So you need a motion.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Well, it's not a
It's not public.
it's not a public hearing, but you are moving it to deliberation.
Okay.
So we just move it to deliberate.
Do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you
Just
can.
to move to deliberation, not close the hearing.
Yeah, because it's, I mean,
Because once we're in deliberation, don't we make a final determination? So.
Yeah, you're gonna vote that.
Okay. I motion to move the hearing to determination, to discussion.
A second.
All in favor? Aye. Unanimous.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do I do now? Where does that
So
leave
we.
me?
Sit down and relax.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna sit back down. Okay, got it. Okay.
Okay, so we have no, public hearings.
correct.
I don't know if you caught, same address, right? Because Jerry had spoke a couple of times.
Yes, they were the same matters. Yep. All right. No public hearing, so now we're on to deliberations. All right, back at you. So,
And I get the point that they're making, that they can't move forward with anything until they have an approval.
Right.
I don't have any doubt that the applicant is concerned about doing the right thing. If there is a need for change and the process that would follow with that. So for me, I don't have anything outstanding after that conversation.
right, I mean, I'm only concerned that the foundation for what they submitted isn't likely to get approved by the, but.
I feel like that's beyond our.
Right, I just want, but to his point, what they have to do might impact what's going on here, but I guess we'll find that out. So,
I don't have any discussion.
anybody else?
A motion.
We need a motion to approve?
Just one clarification. So do you want any conditions with this approval? Obviously, the silt fence has to be inspected by the wetland enforcement officer prior to construction. Do you want something written about approval was granted for a slab-like foundation on grade or a traditional footing if the foundation if the slab on grade foundation and the building inspector determines that the soil is not suitable and additional excavation is required, the applicant shall be required to require additional wetland approval, anything?
I think we approve it based on the foundation the building inspector approves.
Okay. And then it had said that any
That's what it
unsuitable
said.
soil is going to get hauled
Very
off.
set in
If
stone.
anything in the application does change, once it's at building or planning and zoning, it has to come back here, right? If there's a change to it.
Correct, but like planning and zoning is gonna look. Yeah, but like planning and zoning is gonna look at like the location of it, like we're not looking at the foundation. You know, the building inspector is
Right, but if-
looking at those.
But if they, if, in order to get the proper foundation put in,
Not gonna happen. It's not gonna be an issue.
no, I'm just saying, but
Very
in,
simple, very
right,
simple
if-
project.
right, I'm saying, if something calls for them to change the disturbance, then that does have to come back to us. That's the only reason I would need to come back to it.
But it's a little bit of an honor system of like,
Right.
you know, they have to come to me and say, hey, the disturbance has to get a little, you know, larger because of the footing or, you know, whatever it is, or, you know, what those things are. Like planning and zoning will approve it per plans. And if that's what they show us as disturbance, we take their word at it that, you know, they can construct it for the disturbance that's written on there. So yes, if they come back to us and let us know that the disturbance has increased, yeah, absolutely, we'll tell them it goes back.
We thought the electrical is going overhead. Overhead electrical or probably underground.
I don't know that.
Didn't ask it, it's too late.
Yeah, we didn't ask.
But that would be the deal. If it happened, it has to be above ground. And this thing had a rot, and we have to come back. We have to come back to it. And you're like, if we never chase the grid that way. Forget about it, never mind.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve the application with the conditions that the foundation be approved by the building inspector, that all fill is kept with, any fill or grading is kept within the limit of disturbance as shown on the plans,
Or truck that.
and any additional fill removed from the site.
Okay,
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Approved.
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Right. All right, moving on. We don't have any more deliberations, right? I think that's it. All right, so no bond releases. All right, agent activities report.
We had 3 agent approvals this previous month. Agent approval 2024-06 is for 39 Hillside Lane. That was for a driveway replacement going from asphalt to asphalt. And they also removed 5 trees within a 100-foot upland review area. The 5 trees were dying. Agent approval 2024-07 is for 447 Purdy Hill Road. This is for the Town of Monroe's Animal Control Shelter. They're doing an addition, almost 11-foot by 39-foot addition. And the addition is going all on previously existing concrete, so there's no new disturbance being constructed. And this is all being done within a 100-foot upland review area as well. And then agent approval 2024-08 is for 50 Lovers Lane, and they're cutting down 3 trees in their front yard that have potential to fall on the property because they're dying, and that's also within a 100-foot upland review area.
Where's the animal control shelter? Is it, it's something that's already there?
Yeah, it's the Town of Monroe's Animal Control Shelter for
Where is it?
447 Pretty Hill Road. It's on the very back of the property.
Highway department.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. I didn't.
And they're just putting a small little addition on the one side.
Got it.
Reconfiguring the interior.
Next, we got some enforcement.
Yep, so last meeting, I presented to you guys that 596 Van Hill Road was in violation from placing millings like material along the buffer area of a pond that's on their 3-acre property. Since then, the millings have been removed and placed 100 feet away from the pond. They asked what they could do as far as creating some type of walkway around the pond. They also wanted to construct a small fence as a barrier because they do have a small child who's getting older. And I encourage them to fill an application to come in front of you guys to get any type of approval for what they want to do. So hopefully we'll hear from them in June.
All right, anything else? All right, permitted use as of rights, none of those. Correspondence, none of those. All right, general discussions and anything else. 707 Monroe Turnpike.
That was on the planning and zoning agenda for tomorrow, and I had a couple clarification items to talk to Wetland since you guys did do a referral for that. However, we have decided today on the advice of council that we're actually taking it off the agenda, so we don't need to discuss it tonight.
Do we have anything for our second meeting?
That's really the question is, do you guys want to have it? It doesn't, based on tonight's two items, 205 Monroe Turnpike will be on for June 12th. And then you did the approval for 77 Osborne. So I don't necessarily think there's anything for your second meeting. If you would like to cancel that now.
We have a motion to cancel or
I don't think so. It's nice to have it be on the record for the community to know, and we'll cancel it on our end.
You also need to talk about the letter.
Yep, we're getting that. Minutes,
We don't have meeting minutes. We still continue, to work through that. We
I'd like to give like 3 months at once.
haven't
In people's memories.
It's efficiency that way.
and then
worked on it.
anything for public outreach?
Not at this moment.
Okay, and then so lastly, we have our apology letter to
66 East Village Road.
So if I could make some comments. So from my perspective, this is the way this happened. On the 14th of February, at the Inland Wetlands Commission, we had some discussion about a violation at the end of the meeting. And I was not sure about a couple of things, and I ended up abstaining. But that wasn't the end of it, because there was some concern about the way things happened. I was not aware of that until the town hall meeting on the 26th. When I came in to the town hall, a friend of mine was becoming commissioner on another commission. I happened to be there, and I was not warned that there was a surprise attack at all, or that I was going to be on the agenda. I was not given a copy of the letter that you would receive the previous week. So I was not really prepared to say anything, but I felt I needed to. And so I said, look, I respect what my inland wetlands officer says. She intended this. She was clear that she intended this. Yes, there could have been miscommunication, but I have that issue of the communication. Then we didn't know what it actually said under the legal, right of way. Did it say a 10-foot and a 15? Didn't say anything like that. And I get that, that over time it can move a little bit, but it's clearly 15 feet. In my mind, I thought, well, 15 feet versus 10, the people are paying a lot for that additional 5 feet. They would have known that they were putting in 15 feet. There was a couple of things that came out in that letter, and I didn't get it until the night that we actually talked about it.
hold on. I'm sorry. I know you have an opportunity to speak, but we're trying to discuss what the status of writing an apology letter.
Right.
We're not trying to rehash
Okay.
the scenario. So it was decided in that meeting that we were going to put together a letter, and you actually said you were going to write it.
Well,
So-
we agreed on certain things, but not on, because Keith tried to call me to clarify after the meeting some points, and I turned off my phone. So I was driving
Okay,
home.
so regardless, at that meeting, as a commission, we agreed that we needed to issue a letter of apology.
Okay.
Okay?
But I did not have the information that night of the letter. And there's a couple points in that letter from this couple that I need to contend. One is that I had an axe to grind. When the issue came up, there were 6 minutes and 40 seconds where all the other commissioners commented. Keith turned to me and said, what do you think? And I said, it stinks. I didn't throw my hands up in the air. I did not throw my hands up in the air. Hold on. I said, it stinks, meaning, it's just tough to say. It's not really clear to me. I didn't have an axe to grind. It was way into the meeting when I didn't even say that at first. At first I said, well, I think there's a couple here. Let's hear from them. I said that at, 6 minutes and 40. I'd like to hear from them. That's exactly what I said. We discussed it, and afterwards I said, it should have been addressed to the owners and gotten approval. I think it's nice to be nice to your neighbors. You should be ashamed you didn't do that. There was no one in the gallery except Bill from Monroe's son and Matt Reagan. So it wasn't a big deal. At least I didn't think it was a big deal. I really think that it's nice to be nice to your neighbors. I discussed it at the town hall meeting with Terry Rooney. He said did not instruct me to do anything. I talked to the town council. They did not instruct me to do anything. The couple has a problem with the way I addressed it and in the emotion of it, and by me saying it stinks, but I didn't say, this whole thing stinks. That's what you had in your letter. That's not what I did.
Can I interject?
All right. All right.
I interject for a second. At the end of a meeting, which is on public record, which we can look up, there was a discussion that somebody or the whole of this commission was going to write a letter to them. Okay, that was on the record. It was undetermined as to, I think you volunteered actually to write it yourself, Rick. Okay, so, but again, a lot of shit's happened in my life and a couple other emergencies in town that had to take precedent to me following through with you or anybody as chairman. Okay, so we can get back in order and see what either we could check the record to confirm exactly what was discussed and what we were going to do about it, or we could start from scratch. Well, no, I don't want to start from scratch because it all got hashed out. Well, we all know what happened, and it should be a pretty simple cat that just slipped, that got brushed under the rug partially because of my condition and partially that no one else decided to follow through. So
I personally think that some of the context, the things that you perhaps are expressing that you felt attacked by Rick, I understand that. I think we are up here representing the town. So although we are not paid employees, we are representative of the town of Monroe. And there are two residents that took exception to the wording or the sentiment, their interpretation of it, if nothing else. And I think we all agreed at the time that an apology was necessary and relevant considering those things. It's a town that I think, everybody that lives here feels strongly about it. They love the town. I think that's why you're here. That's why I'm here, right? That's why I sit up here, is because I care about the town and the people in it. And so if that's a feeling that came out of a meeting, again, it's not interpreting that you were doing something maliciously or that you had an axe to grind. That doesn't need to be a part of the apology. It's just that the perception of the things you said, the tone of what you said from the perspective of those being talked about was offending to them. It offended them. I think that's fair, right? To your point, you didn't have an axe to grind. So if that's the case, I think it's fair to say, I don't know. Some people don't say sorry so much. I don't know anybody that's ever been hurt by an apology. So I think that's enough.
And I contend that it could have been handled differently. People knew.
That's fair and valid, but that's
I
not.
was lied to before our meeting, before the town council meeting. I was lied to.
Yeah, I understand the things that are frustrating to you. I do understand that. I don't think that has to do with the people, the residents in question or the validity of that step. I think that's fair and valid, but they're two separate, that you have to separate those two things.
I don't think you have to write the apology letter. If you don't want to draft it, then just say you don't want to draft it.
I don't have to.
And you don't have to.
Well, my time is up on this subject tonight. I have to go. So let's just say that we're gonna address it another time if we have to, or if somebody wants to spearhead the letter on behalf of the commission. I'm all for that too. I don't have to be the author. Anybody could, as long as the facts are there and recognitions of, not really recognition, I think it's beyond that. You have two residents here that were wrongly accused, and it just needs to be rectified. So for that, Chairman, I appreciate if you table this to some other topic so I can get here.
I feel like I was, that my name was dragged through the mud for no reason. I did not intend to, I had no axe to grind. I did not intend any malicious. I want my neighbors to get along. It was obvious from the letter that they don't get along with this neighbor and that they didn't have an ironclad, oh yeah, okay, that's nice kind of thing, acceptance.
Okay, we're gonna table this for Commissioner Romano. He would like to table this for another discussion. I think I'd like to, maybe ask Commissioner Kelly to maybe take point on this.
I'd be happy to draft a letter.
And
Thank you.
and then we will continue this to the next meeting and we'll follow up with some additions of having a rough draft to discuss.
Yeah, I
So,
think we as a commission, as a
Finally,
board,
real purpose.
do owe them that apology letter, and it should come from the board, and it should be done sooner rather than later. That was the agreed upon position. It's not about individuals, or
Were you present for those conversations?
I was not. But I think a decision was made that an apology letter would be issued, and that's what we need to do.
Everything is on the record.
so,
Yeah, we'll discuss it once the draft is done.
right, so
Thank
that's, we're gonna table it until we have the draft in front of us and we'll go from there. So,
Moment to be like.
is there anything else that we need to bring up? Or kind of at the end here, anyone?
Very quickly, we have hired a new wetland enforcement officer. He will be starting at the end of the month. You will see him at the June meeting. Big thank you to the first selectman, Rooney, for his support in making sure that land use is properly staffed and functioning. And thank you to Thomas Noonan for his help being the interim. This will probably be the last you see of him, as we'll have a new WEO, which will be taking over the wetland position.
Anybody else? And I need a motion to adjourn.
You can just adjourn.